Okay, good afternoon, HL Mathers. Section 2.3, inverse of functions. A couple problems to start with, a couple different types. Starting with number 10, I'll give an example. When you have two functions, and remember, don't get freaked out by that notation. That's just another way of writing f of x. So I have one function where f of x is 5 minus 7x, and then I have another one where g of x is 5 minus x divided by 7. So at face value, these look like very different functions. I mean, I noticed there's a couple similarities, 5s and 7s, but one's multiply and one's divide. So the question is, are they inverses of each other? And one way to test it is you could draw a picture of it. What we're going to do is test it with algebra. So what you do is, if these two functions are inverses, and one's an inverse of the other, then if you take the composition of one of the functions, of f and g, and you do all that algebra, which we'll do, what will happen is no matter what the function started with, it'll end up with just x. Everything should cross off except x. If that happens, that's the first step. Then you do the same thing over again with g of f, so you put the f in first. And the same thing should happen algebraically. Then if that happens, they pass the test and they're inverses of each other. So let's go ahead and try that. So first I'm going to do this. The g is in the inside, so I'm going to start with the g function, which is 5 minus x over 7. And I'm going to put that into the f function. So I'll write it f of 5 minus x over 7, which is simply going to be 5 minus 7, and then insert this in for the x. 5 minus x divided by 7. And now I just have to solve the algebra. And these problems, when I picked this, it's not too hard. Some of them are a little bit messy with a lot of algebra, so just take your time. Multiply this 7 through. That minus sign through a lot of people on the test, so I'm going to kind of bracket that off. Do all the math in here first and then do the minus at the end. So 7 times 5, well actually you can just look at it right here. Cross off 7 and 7. You don't have to do all that stuff. You can cross them off immediately. So all I'm going to have left is 5 minus 5, and then minus a minus. That's the one that everybody got wrong in the test. When they distributed that minus to the second part, they forgot to do that. So that should be a plus x. And then sure enough, 5 minus 5 is 0, plus x. So the first half worked out. When I did the composition, f and g, it added off. Everything crossed off and I just had x. Let's try the other side, make sure that works. So now g of f. So I'm going to start with f, and I'm going to put the f, which is 5 minus 7x, into the g function, which is right here, 5 minus x. So 5 minus all that divided by 7. And then just look at our algebra. We have the minus sign to distribute, so 5 minus 5 is 0. The negative and the negative become positive, all divided by 7. The 7's cross off, and I'm left with, once again, x. So either way, when I did f composed with a g, I ended up with x. When I did g composed with f, I ended up with x. So these guys are then indeed inverses of each other. So that's the first style problem. Not too hard to do it algebraically. Graphically, it's a little more work. Forget about the graphic part. Just do these algebraically, okay? Because we don't have our graphing calculators. With the graphing calculators, a little bit easier to do it graphically. Now on to the next set.